The advancement or the progress that you're looking to make, whether it's spiritually, mentally, physically, or financially, requires you to address what I call the it that is in your life. Apostle Paul said, when I would do good, evil, this it is always present. What are you saying, Apostle Paul? Whenever I try to advance in my dreams, every time I strive for my calling or my purpose, there's something trying to delay me. There's something trying to distract me. There's something trying to destroy me. This begs the question, what is an it? An it is defined by one or more people, circumstances, or situations that tries to hinder your progress or causes you high levels of distress or dissatisfaction. With that being the case, let me ask you a question. What is your it? Your it can be an addiction to a person, situation, an activity, or a substance. Your it can be the past that seems to always come back and taunt you. Your it can be the relationship that you know you need to get out of. Your it can be this job that seems like it's going nowhere. Your it can be the fact that you won't forgive the people that have hurt you. But yet, despite whatever your it is, God has equipped you to achieve everything that He's put in your spirit to achieve. If you want to go back and finish school, He has equipped you to do so. If you want a chance at a better life, He has equipped you to do so. If you want to ever experience happiness again, He has equipped you to do so. You may ask the question, how do I know this? Well, one example is in Philippians 4:13. It says, I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me. The scripture informs us that my progress, my advancement, my happiness is not only mine to carry, but it's a shared responsibility between me and God. You see, the moment I enter into a realm of mental, physical, and financial exhaustion, the Spirit of Christ rises up in me and says, I know you've been mishandled and mistreated, but you can't give up. I know you've been struggling for a long time, but you can't give up. I know that you've been beaten and betrayed, but you can't give up. And like many people, we ask the question, but why, God? Why can't I give up? After all this I'm going through, why can't I give up? Please answer this question. And God, in His eloquent way of responding, will say, because the 39 lashes I took with the cat of 9 tails were 39 excuses that you can no longer use. And if there were any other excuses or alibis that you could use, they were nailed to me and they died with me on the cross. You see, I died so you can live out the purpose that you were created for. I died so that you can advance in your calling. I died so you can have a chance at happiness. I died so you can do greater above all what you thought you were able to do in your life. If you don't like that example, let's try this one. Let's go to 2 Peter 1:3. It says, according as His divine power hath given unto us all things that pertain to life and godliness, and through the knowledge of Him that hath called us to glory and virtue. Within you is an untapped force that once summoned, that you will become powerful, that once summoned, you will be able to do far better than you thought you could ever do. Once summoned, that there is nothing that's going to be able to stop you from achieving the level of happiness, success, and the life that God has called you to achieve. But the question now is this: what does this mean? Essentially, every person that has ever doubted you will have to eat the food of negativity that they've been trying to feed you all your life. Every person that said that you would never amount to anything will be looking to you for the roadmap to success and happiness. Okay, maybe that's not a good enough example. Perhaps, since you guys are being so quiet, we need another one. Let's take a look at Ephesians 3:20. And it says, now unto Him that is able to do exceeding abundantly above what we can ask or think, according to the power that worketh in us. My progress, my advancement, my happiness, my healing is not in the hands of my spouse. It is not in the walls of the church. It is not in the hands of the pastor. But where is it? It is in me. When God breathed life into you, He breathed purpose. He breathed greatness. He breathed vision. He breathed, this person will accomplish everything did these things and blew these attributes into you, he stepped back and said, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. With all the power that God put in you, how dare you let addiction rule over your life? How dare you let this bad relationship cause you to stop being happy? How dare you let any individual speak negativity in your ear and you decide to go along with it? How dare you? When you were created so phenomenally. Jesus said, if you have faith as a mustard seed, you can speak to this mountain and it be cast into the sea upon your demand. Sometimes we have to become the mountain that has been the mountain in our lives for so many years, for so far too long. Maybe you still feel like you need some more ammunition to give credence to what I'm saying. Well, let's go to one of my favorite scriptures. If you will, turn to Luke 10 and 19. And it says, behold, I give unto you the power to tread on serpents and scorpions and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing by any means shall hurt you. Before I move on into this message, I think it's important that I call attention to a few words so you can understand the strength of what the scripture is really saying. The word give, didomi, in Greek means to bestow a gift, to grant, to furnish. The first word, power, exousia, means the liberty of doing as you please, or power of authority. The word tread, pateo, means to crush with the feet or to advance by setting your foot upon. The second word, power, dunamis, means strength and ability. The word hurt, adikio, means to act unjustly or wickedly. Now that we have these definitions in the Greek context, let's see what the scripture is really saying. Behold, I bestow, I grant, I furnish unto you the liberty to do as you please, to crush with your feet or advance your foot by setting upon these serpents and scorpions and all the strength or the ability of the enemy, or should we say your it. And then it says, and nothing by any means shall act unjustly or wickedly against you. So you must get to the point that you confront and serve notice on your it. Baby, I love you, but I cannot stay in this relationship any longer. Addiction, I'm taking back my mind and my body from you. Sickness, you can't stop me from going after my healing or my happiness. Broken heart, it's time that we heal. It's time for us to move on. Financial destitution, it's time for me to start operating in the riches and the wealth that I was designed and created for. Dear past, I'm sorry, but it's time for me to leave you for a more attractive future. I know some of you are hearing me right now and it's still not resonating about how powerful you really are. And you're asking, this sounds great, but how do I move forward after being mistreated and mishandled? How do I move forward after losing the love of my life? How do I move forward when I've been dealing with this since a child? I've been abused, I've been abandoned. How do I move forward, God? I think right now what we need to do is take a look at what the leprous men did to get out of their situation and move forward. Let's go look at 2 Kings, the 7th chapter, verse 4. And it reads, if we say we will enter into the city, then the famine is in the city. So basically, if we make a decision to go somewhere where there's no food, then it's possible we're going to die. But yet, if we sit still here, we die also. So moving that direction is going to cause me to die, and staying where I am is going to cause me to die. But yet, there is another option. And let us fall into the host of the Syrians. If they save us alive, we shall live. And if they kill us, we shall but die. This brings me to my first point. Make a decision to alter your current position. Within you is the architect and the construction team of your future. Once you move in the atmosphere of making a decision, you harness the power to change your destiny and your future. Once you activate your decision-making skills, you become the director, or should I say, the maestro of your own orchestra. You You see, once the leprous man realized that where they are right now is unacceptable, they came together and said, you know what, we need to get out of this situation. And we have to do something that is better for our life than our current and present circumstances. See, you must decide to break the chains of procrastination. You must decide to move away from the mindset of I can't. You must decide to become that successful business person that you're called to be. You must decide to go after the promises of God. In 1 Kings 18-21, the prophet Elijah walks into an environment and he asks the servants of Baal one question. How long halt will you be between two opinions? Essentially, he's asking, how long will you be sitting in the atmosphere of indecision? I now pose a question or a series of questions to you. Will you pursue your vision or will you wallow in your past? Will you pursue your purpose or live on excuses or alibis? Will you stay where you are or will you pursue your victory? Luke 16:13 says, no servant can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. What does it say, Minister Thomas? You cannot serve both your destiny and discontentment. You cannot serve both your past and your future. You cannot serve both your spouse and your affair. You cannot serve both your vision and your habits. Many of us right now are teeter-tottering when we should be making a decision to do something about our situation right now. The only thing that's stopping us from moving is us, not anyone else or any external factors, but all the factors are intrinsic. Okay, let me slow down a little bit. So after I make a decision, and if I'm willing to make a decision, so what is my next step? Well, let's take a look at what the leprous man did. 2 Kings 7:5 reads, and they rose up, they got up in the twilight to go into the camp of the Syrians. And when they were come to the uttermost part of the camp of Syria, behold, there was no man there. There was no opposition. There was no adverse circumstance. So essentially, what are you telling me? My second point, follow your decision with determination and action. See, when you make a decision to move forward, it activates God to move on your behalf. Okay, you don't believe me? Fine. Let's take a look at this a little deeper. You see, the men would not have known that there was an opportunity that would fulfill everything they ever desired until they got up. When are you gonna get up out of your situation? When are you gonna get up at that mindset of I can't? Or that mindset, oh, it's me, Lord. In Joshua, God tells Joshua, it says, every place you put tread upon, I will give it to you. And then subsequently he says, but you have to be strong and courageous. And it baffled me when I was reading the scripture and I asked, Lord, why would you say strong and courageous? There's two things I want to point out right there. He says, every place you put tread upon, which means I have to take an actionable step of moving forward. Then I have to get my mind right to deal with any opposition that's going to come my way. Because along with the blessing, it's going to be an opposition that you're going to have to face. See, strong and courageous men and women, at the possibility of defeat and failure, knows that if there's a possibility that I will succeed, if there's a possibility I'm going to advance, if there's a possibility I can be happy, that's going to outweigh the possibility of me not succeeding, me not getting what God put in my life to go get. You see, you have to act on that decision to become a greater man or woman. You have to act on that decision to get out of debt. You have to act on that decision to get healthier and stronger and happier. You have to act on that decision to forget and go love again. A decision without action is nothing more than a good idea. I want you to get that into your spirit. Just because you make a decision, if you do not follow it with action, all you're doing is just treading water. Where you are right now is in a place called stuck. Perhaps mentally, physically, financially, and spiritually. God does not want you to operate in the spirit of depression. He does not want you to be controlled by the addiction that you feel like you're experiencing. More importantly, He does not want you to live below the means that He created you for. You were created to be phenomenal. Scripture says we're created in the image of God, which means that the only limitations I have are the limitations that I put on myself. Let's talk about perseverance for a moment. Jesus, beaten and betrayed, blood flowing from His body, carrying a cross through what we call some inhumane conditions, never stopped, even when the opportunity to stop was presented. Why did He not stop? Because He made the decision that you were worth His life. And after He made the decision, He acted upon it. The leprous men realized something. I cannot die in where I'm at right now. I cannot die in the states of my mind. I cannot die how I'm feeling right now. And if you are ever going to get the life that God has for you, you have to be strong and courageous enough and realize that, you know what, I'm better than the circumstances. I'm better than what I'm facing. Please realize that you are not defined by your conditions, but rather what you do with your conditions. I'm letting you know right now, the power to do exceedingly abundantly above what you can ask or think is according to the power that works in you. I hope this message touched your heart and has given you insight and given you strength to move forward.